Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Starmade. Today of course we're gonna continue on our little project here, the Monopoly game. What else would we do? Projects like these just give me such a motivational boost. So even after over 100 episodes of Starmade, I still find myself to enjoy this game a ton. Anyways, what I would like to accomplish in today's episode is actually finish all of these lights and connections, and I also want to find a way in order to move all of the figures from the different players. It's gonna be 4 players, of course, with the 4 different colors. And I thought about this very briefly. What I think I'm going to do is have 4 lines right on the outside of the board, and the players will then in the build mode actually click a button in order to move a figure forwards, and as soon as they want to stop they can deactivate the button again. And I think as a further improvement we could potentially hook this up with an AND gate, so only the player that actually is lit up at the moment will be able to move his figure. Or are there like cards that allow you to move other figures? I'm actually not sure. I think your figure can only be moved in your turn. Let me know if that is something that I misunderstood about the game. I haven't played it in a while actually. Anyways, enough of the babbling around, it's time to get to the construction. I would say we're gonna set up all of the rails first of all, just to kind of figure out how it looks. And I would prefer if we actually made this 1 block further down. So maybe if we went right here, yeah, right here we can start. And I want this to be facing into this direction, obviously, right? Okay, now let's see how many do we need into this direction. I'm just going to fill it up. I made plenty of materials actually for this episode. I prepared myself very well, I would say. I have enough lights. I also should have enough rails, though the rails are going to be used up rather quickly, aren't they? Well, we shall see, I guess. Let me quickly finish this first line and then we're going to have a look at it. And there we go, I made 1 turn. I actually think this is totally going to work out, isn't it? This is gonna be a doozy to figure out. I actually only want 1 spot where they can stop, so potentially this spot right here. So the player would need to stop his movement around this area and then it will still continue up to this spot here. So yeah, it's kind of semi-automatic. Of course the player will still have to count and the other players will have to, you know, check that nothing is fishy about the movement. So I guess I'm going to finish this for all of the players. Let me actually get rid of this shebang right here. We don't need this anymore. And instead we're gonna add a bunch of lines like so. I'm going to need like 4 lines, right? Yeah, that is right. Let me quickly finish that as well. And there we go, look at that. Now all of the players have their individual line and we could potentially even light up something in order to indicate that a player is on this field. What do you think about that? Oh, there's so many things we can implement into this. This is crazy. Let me actually set up all of the lamps. I think that could be a good idea. I'm going to need 5, like upwards. So let's see, can we own this field? I already forgot what it is. So it is a really bad symbol. No, I think it's the tax symbol, yes indeed. So you cannot own this place, but you could for instance own this place. So we would make something like this, and of course they will shut up as soon as... Oh, shut up. I meant they will turn off as soon as we add the activation modules. However, we are going to have to do this for all of the things, and right here of course we only need 1. Here we need 5 in order to represent all of the houses and the hotels. So I guess we're gonna add this for all of the fields and of course also all of the colors. Oh man, this is gonna be so agonizing to set up. I mean, I have to connect all of the modules and I have to activate them all, etc, etc. Oh yes, that reminds me, we are gonna need like a reset button in order to shut off all of the modules. Ooh, that is gonna be interesting to implement. Okay, the red color is also done. It's coming along, guys, it's coming along. Let me finish the 2 other colors. Et voila, all of the colors are implemented. Now of course we have to add the activation modules, and I also made a ton of those. I actually made a little bit too many. I totally forgot that it was in the crafting queue and then it just kept doing its thing. However, we need to add as many activation modules as we have lamps on this bad boy. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna do that off camera as well. Said and done. Oh, isn't editing the most beautiful thing on YouTube? Anyways, it's now time to hook up everything. So we want to hook up this with that, I guess, and so on and so forth. That's how I did it with the first one, and I think, you know, that's just how my brain works. We're gonna kind of do it mirrored, as if there was a mirror right here in the center. Or like the surface of a lake. Now we have to enable and disable all of these guys in order to check out if I've done it correctly, because we cannot have mistakes right here. But anyways, I guess that's another thing I'm going to do off camera now, so I'll be right back once I hooked up everything. Yeah, look at this, already made a mistake. Jeez. Oh, it feels like I've done this forever and I'm just halfway through. I thought this must be the last row. However, I figured out that I can just hit the R button in order to shut off the lights. I don't really need to use the activation module the first time. However, it still requires a lot of concentration on my end. So that is not really a chilled out task that I'm doing here. I anticipated a little bit more excitement. Oh man, I'm getting slower and slower at this. Oh Jesus. ZVR. It's the last one. ZVR. And there we go. Now imagine, you know, once the players have all bought their houses and hotels, there are gonna be many different colors and it's gonna be very easy to distinguish. And since the players are all gonna be in build blocks, they will also keep the overview, if you know what I mean. However, now that I've set this up, this should also be working. That is great. Of course, these are going to be activated in a sequence, so you don't really have to activate all of these modules in order to add more houses. These sequences are also going to be automatic. Anyways, for now, I want to set up the stopping mechanism for all of the squares. So where would we want to set this up? Oh, I have a good idea. We could have the same mechanism for all of the players, and depending on which color is active right here, then this button will move an individual part. Okay, let's think about that. We are going to need an activation module. Where do we want to place this? We could make duplicates, I would say. Maybe one right here, and maybe let's set the symmetry plane so we do it correctly right away. I want to get rid of odd symmetry mode. There we go. Beautiful. And now I should be able to... Oh geez, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this and that. And now I should have the hole on the other side as well. So we're gonna have two... No, actually just one activation module. And I guess we want to close this off and maybe make a nice border around that. Larimar, of course, is always gonna do the trick for such things. Okay, so this is the player movement, and no matter which button we click, we are gonna activate the other one as well. So maybe we should set this up. We can simply connect this like so and like so. And now no matter which one I activate, for instance this one, the other one is also gonna be active. And in combination with the color, then the blue line will move, and as soon as I went over a line right here, I can deactivate it, and then it will come to a halt right here. That should be easy enough to accomplish. All I need is a not signal, and I'm also gonna need and signals. Let's see, yeah, there we go. So we're gonna need like 4 and signals. Let's see, where could we set them up? Should we set them up above the players? I mean, that would make sense. I just see, we could place this guy actually right here. This would make a lot more sense. It was facing into this direction, wasn't it? I think so. Anyways, let's get rid of the symmetry plane again. Now we need to add the activation modules. ant signals. We're gonna have ant signals right here, 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 and there. Yeah, actually that's right. If this guy here is active, then we want to go to the ant gate. So theoretically it will activate with the button right here. However, we're gonna hook up a second condition, and that is of course this condition right here. Yeah, let's hook it up to this ant gate as well. And now if I reactivate this, this is not going to be activated unless I activate this guy, right? And then it is active. Okay, that means this guy right here is controlling all of the rails, and I just figured that I'm going to need 4 attachment slots. Guys, this is going to be a little bit more complex than I anticipated. I'm actually going to take a little recording break once again in order to figure this out, you know, quietly. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I think I figured out a satisfactory solution. Let me actually first show you the functionality. The yellow player I haven't done yet, so we can do it together and you can understand the system a little bit better. However, let me show you. Currently, all of these players are at the start field and player blue rolled the number 4. Therefore, we can move player 1 4 squares, and as soon as it passed the next one, we can shut this off. So it will stop right here. Of course, we're still gonna add a activation module down below in order to indicate which player is on which field. Also, what I want to do is add a ginormous activation module in order to, you know, make this movement. So the player can actually look at the map properly and hit the button in the correct moment. Cool, so now that the blue player moved, we can go to the next player and it will roll automatically. It's the red player's turn and he or she rolled 3. Therefore, we can move our figure 1 2 3 squares. Or fields, or however you want to call them. Great, let's move on to the next player, which should be green. Yes, come on, what do we roll? We roll 10. Holy Moses. Anyways, 10 is not a great number to start with, because of course you will land in the prison as a visitor, of course, but the prison isn't a very good spot to start with. So as soon as he passes this spot, we are gonna shut off the movement mechanism, and there we go, we are at this field. And that's the overall basic system I implemented today. Now let's do it for the yellow player as well. What I want to do is have this AND gate right here. The AND gate is hooked up to the player signal, so only if it's this player's turn, then this AND signal can be active, and also the second condition is of course the movement mechanism. Great, so now that we have established this, let's build a little something right here, and we want to hook up a bunch of activation modules. We're gonna hook up 4 of those guys. And now we want rails facing into each direction. So let's set this up. We're gonna go towards this side first, because that's where we start, right? Then we wanna move towards the right side, then towards us, and finally towards the start again. Okay, let's already hook those guys up. This first guy needs to be hooked up to all of those rails that should be facing towards this side. So let's do that. Now of course it's a lot easier because I've already hooked up all of the other ones. But there we go, we're simply gonna do something like this, and of course here at the corner we need to change the direction. So we're gonna pick the second rail which is looking into this direction, so that is good. Therefore we need to select this corner block right here and all of the other ones. And oh no, not the corner block. Of course, as soon as we land in the corner, we are gonna go towards this side. So that's where I have to mark it. There we go. And then finally, the last side. Let me pick this block, and we want to start here at the corner and finish it all the way to the finish line. Okay, great. So that's step number 1. So theoretically, as soon as I roll the dice and it's the yellow player's turn, there we go. Let's enable the movement, and you can see this AND gate is activated. Therefore, all of these guys are activated and the rails are making way for the yellow player to move. Now, of course, we need a counter action. So as soon as we stop this functionality, we want another activation module to be active, and therefore we are actually gonna utilize a NOT signal. We're gonna place this guy on top of here, making sure it is hooked up to the AND gate. And on top of the NOT signal, we want to have another activation module. Great, so now you will be able to see as soon as we stop the movement, this activation module becomes active. And therefore we can hook up a rail that is, for instance, facing downwards. It doesn't really matter in which direction it is facing, as long as the rail side isn't facing up. And now of course we need to select this activation module and select all of the segments that we have previously selected individually for each side. But now we can do it with all of them together, just with one single activation module. And there we go, I'm finished. So now let's activate and deactivate the movement, and you can see it is now practically completed. And also, oh no, I activated it at the completely wrong moment. Let's see, okay, it fixed itself. Anyways, that's all of the movements down. Now in the next episode we will add some functionality by adding activation modules right here, for instance below where the blocks will come to a halt. Then we can have some indication lights to indicate on which field we actually are. However, there's something I want to focus on first, and therefore we need to figure out the center here. I think that is supposed to be right here, and we also want to set the other symmetry plane right, oh man, I cannot see it, right there. Okay, so this should be the perfect center, and therefore if we add something right here, yeah, that could be good. There we go, now we can add a bunch of activation modules. I just want to make a ginormous button that you cannot miss, no matter what you do. Something like this, and then the player can just look at this button and see the movement, you know, from all perspectives. I think that is much better. So we simply, oh man, do we have to hook up everything with everything? That would be a little bit annoying, but you get the basic gist. Oh well, there's gonna be a lot more hooking up. I shouldn't be scared of hooking up stuff because I'm not nearly finished. But what do you think about this movement system? I think it is actually a good practical solution. I will also be able to hide all of the logic behind walls, etc. But there we go guys, with that out of the way, I would say we're gonna wrap up the episode. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, have a great time, and hopefully I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye bye.